Hi and welcome to Maxim's Inside Track for another edition. We'll start this one with whole milk powder. Whole milk powder is holding up reasonably well. We've seen some cooler weather in the South Island of New Zealand, and this is sort of easing milk slightly. However, it's been propped up by the North Island and still ahead of last year. Volumes hadn't changed on the GDT platform, and whole milk powder ended up flat, which was a good result. Futures predicted that it may have gone up slightly, 1 to 2% further out, but China's still carrying most of the load. They're about 22% up year to date on last year. So big demand out of China, and the Middle East is probably off a little bit just with their geopolitical woes over there. We expect to see whole milk sort of at these levels for the next little while going into Q1. Moving on to skim milk powder now. It's a pretty good story in terms of demand being robust and pricing firming. We've now increased around about 40% from January 2019 through until where we are now. So these prices have certainly gone up. That EU intervention stock is well and truly behind us, and we're now actually tracking at about 20% above the 5-year average. Are these prices sustainable going forward? It feels as though fresh production is pretty tight and difficult to get at the moment, so I think certainly through Q1 through until June next year we could see some pretty firmish prices at these levels. Moving on to cheese now. In the US, that CME market has been extremely buoyant, in particular around blocks, nearly getting up or going over $2 a pound, which is extremely high and quite unusual for this time of year. We're seeing some challenges around out of Europe, Ireland, Brexit, etc., and cheese prices are sluggish, and we've seen that the GDT offering in Oceania drift off slightly. A difficult product to read. Any fresh production or Australian origin material is pretty tight and scarce and difficult to get and expensive. Moving on to the fats now, butter and AMF holding up reasonably well on the GDT platform. We have seen some weakness in the US and also in Europe. There was some cream pricing that had started to drift up. That feels as though that was just a spot bit of demand, and it started to drift off over there again. And AMF holding up reasonably well. So yeah, fats once again challenging to read, but still feels reasonably firmish at these sort of levels. We've got a pretty flat global milk production, and demand still growing at 2 to 3%. So whilst we've got that balance, these prices in general feel reasonably buoyant and firmish at these levels. Moving on to whey and lactose now. Sweet whey's shown a little bit of firming in the past couple of weeks. Lactose has continued to drift off. WPC 34 has picked up basically in correlation with the increase in skim milk powder prices, and we've seen WPC 80 starting to drift off a little bit, and we suspect that WPI may follow beyond that. That concludes our Inside Track for this fortnight. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.